Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I like to talk about economics in the Black community. And I hope that you agree that being Black first and being economically intelligent is very important for our community. My background, I'm a finance professor, so I love to analyze Black wealth and why it's going up, why it's going down, and why it's going sideways, and everything else in between. So today I want to talk a little bit about Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry is an extraordinarily powerful person in terms of filmmaking and success as it pertains to making these movies that some of you love, some of you don't love so much. I'm not here to really judge whether or not you should like a Tyler Perry movie, but I am here to sort of talk about some of the interesting economic challenges that Perry's facing. He's facing some interesting situations that I thought would make for a really interesting economic lesson. I saw Tyler speaking on a show with Young Jeezy and Kirk Franklin, and they were talking about financial topics. So I thought, hey, if they're gonna, if people that really didn't get a lot of financial training are talking about finances, then I'll jump in there too. But then again, though, Tyler's made $1 billion. I haven't made $1 billion, so let me just be quiet right there. Anyway, with that being said, let me know if you can hear me. Okay, give me a quick yes if you can hear me, and if you can hear me all right, then I can go ahead and get started. Okay, so with that being said, one of the things that's really interesting about Tyler Perry and Medea, I guess they're going through the same problems at the same time, is that Tyler's being sued right now. There's a big nasty lawsuit from an actor who worked with Tyler Perry on many many shows, and he's suing him for a lot of money. It's a gang of money. I want to say over $200 million or something like that. I don't understand lawsuits like that, to be honest with you, because I'm really trying to figure out what that person did to you to cause you to owe you that kind of money. I get it. You sue somebody for 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, a few hundred thousand. I mean, Lord Jesus, I wish I could get, 10 million every time a woman touched my body or something like that. But anyway, this lawsuit's going on. And the scary thing about these suits is that you have to fight them. You got to go to court, and it becomes messy. You got to pay a lot of money to lawyers and everything else. And so Tyler's in the middle of this lawsuit. Now, I guess in terms of financial complications of what it must be like to be Tyler Perry, I think starting there might be interesting. So these lawsuits really speak to something that, as we know, Shannon Sharp is going through the same thing, where he's lost tens of millions of dollars in generational wealth because he was sleeping with that OnlyFans model. I don't know how big the check was that he wrote, but you got to write a pretty big check to retire an OnlyFans model who's making probably $500,000 a month from the fame that you gave to her. And so there's kind of this consistent theme where you have these prominent Black men who get into positions of power, and they end up getting sued because of something that they're doing sexually. Now, here's the thing, though. I think that there's a big difference between flat out assaulting somebody, taking something that doesn't belong to you, etc., versus simply sleeping with somebody you work with. Most of the research shows that people are attracted to people in the workplace. Workplace romances happen all the time. In fact, give me a guess if you've ever had a job and thought about or considered sleeping with somebody you work with. Anybody ever done it, thought about it, been tempted to do it, but was asked to do it, asked somebody to do it? Give me a yes. Let's just do a confessional here. I think that it's interesting that we've kind of criminalized that to the point where the most powerful person ends up being penalized because they simply engaged in the very human act of sleeping with another person. Now, Tyler, I know that there's a whole lot of conversation about whether or not he's gay or bi or whatever. To me, that was never a mystery. First of all, I don't care what his sexuality is. I never really sat around wondering about that. But if you had asked me to bet money on it, I'd say, yeah, I think Tyler's probably attracted to some dudes, and I don't care. I mean, as long as you're not attracted, as long as you ain't messing with me. But anyway, because I have been hit on by guys before, and I ain't gonna lie, when you're not gay, it's a little bit weird. It's a little bit jarring. I'm not gonna lie. I go to Atlanta, stuff happens, and it's like, oh, okay, buddy, now come on, man. We ain't having all that. But still, I think that the idea of people sleeping together, and the idea of criminalizing that, and in the lawsuit, I think that they're claiming that Tyler, what was it that when the guy wasn't accepting Tyler's advances, Tyler took away his opportunities in the film industry or took away his job or something like that. And so I just kind of think, okay, so if you're saying that he was asking, if he's wrong for asking you, not to say he should have done this, not to say this is acceptable, but I was thinking about this from a logic standpoint. Logic is doesn't exist anymore. People don't use logic, but I do. I'm a mathematician. So my logic would say, okay, so you're suing him because he told you that if you don't give me what I want, I'm not going to give you what you want. So that would mean to me, that would say to me that Tyler should be able to sue you if you were to say to him, if you don't give me what I want, I won't give you what you want. And what I'm saying is, like, imagine a scenario where somebody wants to sleep with the boss. Y'all know what happens all the time. I was out in LA, and I'm gonna tell you, there were some really pretty women that were very interested in me because I was making a film, and I think they want to get next to powerful people or men that have money. I've had money for a while, not Tyler Perry money, but I'm a finance PhD, so of course I understand how to get money. And so my thought would be, so does that mean I can sue you? Let's say that we're sleeping together, and you say to me, I want you to put me in your movie, and I say, no, I'm not going to put you in my movie. I'm not going to make you the star because I want to be fair. I want to give the job to somebody who deserves it, and you may not be that person. You can audition, but you probably won't get it because there's somebody better than you. And then you say, well, I'm not going to sleep with you anymore because you're not giving me what I want. I've never seen anybody able to sue for something like that. However, I've seen the other scenario where somebody hired a person, and then the person that hired them and is giving them money says, "Hey, I'd like something in exchange for my money." And then the person says, "Well, I just want to take your money. I don't want to give you that. I'm not giving you that, or I'm not giving you that anymore." And the person says, "Well, because you're not giving me that anymore, I'm going to take away your money." So then you can sue them for $100 million. I think that that logic is just kind of interesting because to me, it speaks to the fact that in workplaces, it's not always the boss who's trying to push up on somebody. Can we at least agree on that? Let me know if you understand where I'm coming from. Sometimes I start theorizing and I lose people because the attention span on the internet is about 2 minutes long. But do you get what I'm saying? Like, we know for a fact that when the man is the boss, when you're the man, there are people that are hitting on you. There are people that are trying to tempt you and get with you and all that. Just the idea that somebody could tempt you into sleeping with them, and then they sleep with you because they know they're getting money from you, and so you take away the money, you let the person go, and then they say, well, they fired me because of the sex, like they coerced me into it. And I always want to know who coerced who. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not trying to say that they're not inappropriate situations at all. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, I always wonder why we assume that it was the more powerful man who was trying to coerce another person. In Tyler's case, it's two men, but still one has power, one does not. Maybe he's just mad he got fired. Maybe he doesn't have enough talent. Maybe Tyler had to move in a different direction. And so this speaks to, so let's flip it around. Strategically, if you have black men in your family that are going to build businesses, if you have a son, he should definitely be a business owner because there ain't no real good jobs out here for black men like that, to be honest with you. If he becomes a business owner, he's going to have to be very strategic in terms of who he engages with because you can imagine somebody tempting him into sleeping with her, and then he becomes locked in where he can't fire her now. He's trapped. Do you understand? He's in a prison because if he decides, hey, no hard feelings, it's over, I got to let you go, then that person can immediately turn around and say, "You let me go because because I wouldn't sleep with you anymore," or "You let me go because you were sleeping with me and you forced me into it, and I spoke up and that's why you fired me." So these scenarios are kind of weird, and I'm still trying to understand why they're worth $250 million. That's what I don't really get. I get 50,000, 100,000, half a million. I get it, but $250 million lawsuit. I've seen people really truly get hurt. Robin Simpson in Houston, a person that some of you know about, some of you don't, some of you don't care. You only care about Black Lives Matter and when white people tell you that it matters. But Robin Simpson was a wonderful woman. She was part of the B1 community, smart woman, the president of her chapter of Delta Sigma Theta. She was a highly successful person in her field of social work. Her husband literally stabbed her 100 times in front of their 9-year-old daughter, Essence. Last year, this happened, and I haven't really seen the same level of outrage over things like that I see over somebody saying, "Well, he grabbed my booty, so he owes me $100 million." So I'm going to say this. In terms of what Tyler's going through with the lawsuit, I'm not going to say he's independent of any guilt here, but I will say that I'm really still confused about some of these lawsuits. I really am. Now, with that said, let's move on. Do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. You're watching drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. I'm a finance professor. I believe in Black wealth and Black economics, in the B1 culture. B1 means Black first. Black first means we put our community at the top of our priority list. So please hit the thumbs up button. Also, if you want to join us, we do a free financial class every morning for the whole community. There's thousands of you that have signed up, and it's totally free. It's called Money in the Morning, Economic Elevation, Financial Consciousness. You can join by texting the word morning to the number 87948. So just text morning to the number 87948. I will send you an invitation. Now, here are some impressive financial stats about Tyler Perry that I really think you want to pay attention to. And this leads into the other conversation about the economics of Tyler Perry, or what I call Medianomics. Um, this guy's made a lot of money. He's really good at making money, and I'm not mad at him for it. I know he's created lots of jobs and opportunities in Atlanta. I know people that have worked with him. I also felt that from the time I met him, he was a very nice guy. He called me one time out of the blue in 2014, and he actually, he probably doesn't even know he hired my goddaughter, because I took her with me on the tour. Tyler arranged for me and her to do a tour of his studio, and it was his number two in command. He spent 2 hours with us. He was a wonderful guy. It was a great experience. He has a lot of respect for old actors and actresses from back in the day, the Cicely Tysons and people like that. And I just think that's wonderful. So I understand the affection that people have for Tyler Perry. Now, on the darker side, I've seen lots of gripes about his labor practices. Give me a yes if you've seen any of that, where he's been sort of criticized heavily for the fact that he isn't in alignment with the labor unions. There have been writers that have complained about not getting paid what they're worth. And I totally understand that. I know that when you compare what he pays at Tyler Perry Studios to what they pay in Hollywood, and most of the time it's not the same. He has a different production process. They might take a week to make an episode. Tyler's going to make 5 episodes a day or something crazy. I mean, the man is very productive. And so what happens is, what's interesting with this is that there's the big question, which I think people have a right to ask, the big question of whether or not Tyler Perry has engaged in adequate labor practices in his climb to wealth and power. Now I can see where he tries to do some PR to kind of squash some of that. It's really funny. Like he'll go and like some old lady's house will get torn down in a tornado and he'll buy her a new roof, and then they'll go spend a whole bunch of money advertising it, making issuing press releases telling everybody what he did. And I think that ends up looking a little self-congratulatory, to be honest. But I can see that there's kind of like an image management scenario that he's trying to lay out there. And I've wondered about that. And again, I still don't even know the complete answer, but it's something for you to think about as you build your Black wealth. In fact, how many of you are wealth builders in here? Give me a yes if you are building wealth. Give me a yes if you are investing for your kids. Give me a yes if you are trying to own real estate. Give me a yes if you're going to start a business. Give me a yes if you are on the grind building for the next generation. Give me a yes. All of you are wealth builders in here, right? Give me a yes if you are. So, as a wealth builder, one of the things that we have to be careful about is being falsely labeled as capitalist. Capitalism is not the most effective wealth building process for a society. America is overly committed to capitalism to the point where workers get exploited, people get harmed, it leads to various forms of oppression, really flat out slavery. And that's why I want you to invest so you can get out from under that. And the only way you can get out from under that is to participate in the stock market, which is the number one wealth builder on earth. And I wrote my whole dissertation on the stock market, so please don't ask me about it. Just hear me out when I tell you that's where you want to have your money. Now, with that said, though, what happens a lot of times is that when you get wealthy like Tyler, you're going to have some enemies, you're going to have some haters, you're going to have people that are going to leech and beg and try to scrape and pull you in different directions to the point where they're pulling you down. And I understand that, but at the same time, there's an elitism. There's an elitism that Black people have to address where we put celebrities on this pedestal. They can do no wrong. Everything they did is wonderful, and they're just beautiful, amazing people because they have more money than me. And I attribute that to something I call low Black economic self-esteem. You tend to have a community that really, really worships its celebrities. I think that's very disempowering for you. I think that you are greater than you think you are. And remember, Tyler Perry, as great as he is, he's a man, he's another black man who made a lot of money putting on dresses and stuff like that, doing things a lot of you would not do. So again, I'm not here to diss him at all. I'm just here to state facts. Okay. So stating facts means that one thing Tyler probably has to deal with is the fact that because you're rich, people assume that you've got an endless supply of money, and so you're attracting all these people that are trying to get a piece of that. And going back to the labor issues, the fact that he makes movies, I would guess, would mean that a lot of people expect him to be able to pay the same amount of money that they pay in Hollywood. That's my point. And they look at how much wealth Tyler has, and they say, well, yeah, well, when I worked at Warner Brothers, I got 120,000 a year to do this job. You're only paying me 60,000. That ain't right. I hear you. When I worked at Universal Studios, I got $80 an hour to do this job. You're only paying me $30 an hour. That ain't right. Okay, I get it. I hear you. When I worked on this film and I was an actor in this movie, they paid me 10 million. You're only paying me 1 million. You're an asshole. That ain't right. Okay, I hear you. But let me kind of break this down for you so you can understand why Tyler might actually have a point in terms of cutting costs on his production projects. I'm not saying he's right. I'm saying that there's a reason for it. A reason is not an excuse. It's an explanation. An explanation is not an excuse. Do you understand the difference? I'm explaining it. I'm not excusing it because it's up to you to have your own decision. But what we'd like to do is think deeply about these things. So let me break this down for you. Here's what I want you to understand and why I kind of get where Tyler's coming from to some extent, even though I don't watch Medea movies. That's not my thing. Um, Hollywood is economically fucked up. Let's just be Hollywood is in the economic toilet right now. Has anybody seen the statistics? Let me know. Give me a yes in the chat. Have you seen the statistics on Hollywood's economic situation and how Hollywood is just close to being extinct? Like they spend money like rappers in the strip club. They blow money. They'll spend $1 million making 2 seconds of footage and think nothing of it because they fell for something in finance. There's research papers written on this called the free cash flow problem. The free cash flow problem says that when money is abundant, you spend like a damn fool. When cash is flowing extra heavy, your financial consciousness drops and you're just throwing money at stuff. And Hollywood is paying dearly for this. It's paying dearly because the landscape of media has evolved. You've gone from everybody going to the movie theaters and watching these blockbusters to everybody having the ability to watch movies on their phone. So the competition level is much higher. Companies like Disney came in and they thought they were just going to eat Netflix's lunch by blowing $20 billion a year or something. And they got hammered. They got killed. If you look up Disney stock right now, I could do a screen share of Disney stock. Disney shareholders are pissed. The reason Disney shareholders are pissed is because their company has been wasting their money. Again, I always go off on the rappers and stuff for being financially irresponsible. But in this case, this ain't black people. This is white folks. Let me show you. Let me see if I can find Disney stock. And I'm good. By the way, I'm not actually going to consider buying some Disney stock because it sounds like they're getting away from this stupidity. But let me show you. We talk about stocks every day, and in case you want to join us in class. Um, and so here, look at this. Look at Disney stock. Okay, I got Disney stock on the screen. Let me know. Give me a yes if you can see this. This is 5 years of ownership of Disney stock. They have wasted billions in shareholder value. The share price has dropped by 9% in the last 5 years. Companies like Apple have gone up. Amazon has gone up like crazy. Netflix has gone up like crazy. Nvidia has gone up insanely crazy. Disney is going down. It's like, how in the hell do you own Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and whatever other intellectual property you have? You got amusement parks around the world. You got millions of subscribers, followers. You own freaking ESPN, and you're losing billions in shareholder value. The company's worth 212.7 billion. So 10% of that is what, about $21 billion. So they have destroyed $21 billion in shareholder wealth in the last 5 years. Now, you don't talk about hustling backward. I mean, I know I talk a lot about what we do wrong when it comes to finances, but one of the things I want to make sure is clear is I don't want you putting white people on the pedestal. White people are not the blueprint for a good economic stewardship. White people are not the framework and the be all end all when it comes to making good economic decisions. As a person who's analyzed the data incessantly, all those years I was on the faculty of Syracuse, I can tell you white people ain't got it figured out. And in fact, there are things you figured out that they haven't figured out. When I was on the faculty of Syracuse, I had to write an article on money management for Essence Magazine. You know who I called to get some frameworks and talking points for that article? I called my grandmother. I called my grandmother, who was a single mom who never made more than $22,000 a year, who raised five kids by herself. And I said, how did you do it? What was your economic thinking? Because I knew she had a template. I knew she had a framework. I know that that type of thriving under pressure doesn't happen by accident. So what I want you to understand is I know you want to glorify white people. I know that we love what they've done, what they've built and who they are, and we love getting validation from them. But I want you to understand that economically speaking and politically speaking, socially speaking, in terms of family, mental health, etc., when you integrate too much, you're integrating into a burning house. You really are. Their house is financially burning. Look at the way Capitol Hill manages the national debt. The national debt is so high and so unsustainable that people are warning over and over and over again that the whole global economy is going to fall off a cliff because you bastards don't know how to put how to spend within your means. So with that being said, here's my defense of Tyler Perry. This is my point because people have a hard time figuring out if I'm a critic or a supporter, and end up sounding like both because I'm a critical thinker. That's what I am. I can't apologize for that. Hollywood overspends on their projects. Tyler Perry does not. That's why I believe Tyler Perry has thrived and Hollywood is sinking. In fact, let me give you just a couple points on this. I looked some things up. In the last since the 1990s, movie studio budgets have risen by 300%. They used to spend 30 million on a movie. Now they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars. They spent 300 million making Indiana Jones 5, and that was a complete flop. So that's white privilege. That's rich white privilege. Not all white people can do this, but it's rich white privilege that you can make a movie and lose $200 million and still not be in jail. Secondly, check this out. Over 50% of the films that they made in 2023 lost money. So Deadline said that more than half of the films didn't even break even. So a lot of the big names like the Marvels and the Flash, they flopped and their budgets were over $200 million. But anybody could have told you, if you're a Marvel fan, anybody could have told you that the Marvels was stupid. I saw the commercial. I'm a big Marvel fan. I'm all into Captain America, and y'all don't know this, so I don't talk about it much. But I'm into the Hulk and Captain America and Iron Man. I know the backstories, and then it just got too complicated. There was too much stuff going on, and I ain't got time for all that. I got to go take a graduate class to keep up with all of your different universes. But when they came out with the Marvels, I said I'm not going to see that. They came out with the Flash. I was like, no, I'll watch that on TV. I'm not spending money on that. And this is something you could have probably found out from your focus groups. But unfortunately, sometimes money creates confidence, overconfidence. This is Alan Greenspan wrote in his book. He called it irrational exuberance, or maybe it's just overconfidence. Period. One of my dissertation committee members, his name was David Hirschleifer. He used to basically explain that when people get a little money, they get confident, and you see it all the time. Like you ever see somebody when they get some money in their pocket and they kind of walk around kind of bold and they throwing money around and all that. Hollywood's doing that. Number three, streaming platforms have burned over $10 billion in 1 year. Disney lost $4 billion, has lost $4 billion since they launched Disney Plus in 2019. I think they're finally profitable, which is one of the reasons why I might add some Disney stock to my portfolio. I also bought some Warner Brothers stock. If you want, this is not investment advice. I do not give that ever. But if you want to know what I just bought, I did get a substantial stake in Warner Brothers. And the reason I did that is because I saw Superman as a reboot, and I feel like James Gunn has it figured out in terms of making the DC universe. They create these whole universes, and I said, okay, so it looks like DC is kind of figuring it out. And the last Superman movie is really good. I don't know who made Fantastic Four though. I don't know if that's. I think that's a Disney movie. But anyway, that was good too. By the way, I saw them both. I told you I watch all the movies. All right. Also, they had a lot of layoffs, and this is getting to the labor issue. So between 2020 and 2024, industry layoffs jumped tremendously. Warner Brothers cut over 7,000 jobs, and so layoffs have surged by about 400%. What does this mean? Well, what this means is that while the industry's overspending and sinking, one of the things they might be overspending on could be labor. That's my point. That's what I was getting at, right? And so while Tyler Perry should certainly be criticized by the labor unions for not paying the union wage, there must be a question as to whether or not the union wage is fair enough to allow the studios to be profitable and to properly compensate them for the risk that they're taking by making this film. I know that's not popular for everybody to hear. I know that it's easy to look at the rich guy and say, well, you've got plenty of money, but everybody could be the rich guy if you wanted to, in the sense that if you want to go out and stake all your net worth on a building a business, you can do that. And if you do that and you succeed, then there is what you call a return, a risk return trade-off. You took the risk. You quit your job. You risk going broke. And it worked out for you. So there's a compensation, a risk return reward. Elon Musk had $100 million when he left, when he sold PayPal. He spent 99 million out of $100 million to start SpaceX. Now I want to ask y'all this question. If you got a big payout, let's say you got a payout of, let's not make it, let's make it 10 million. 100 million is kind of a big, gigantic number. Let's say you got $10 million. Would you be willing to spend 9.9 million of that $10 million starting your next business? Yes or no? Give me a yes or no in the chat. How many of you would think that you would or you could take 9.9 million out of 10 million that you made to go start your next business without being stabbed by your wife in your sleep? My wife would kill me. I would not take that level of risk. So what I want you to understand is that when if you choose that life of business owner or whatever, you want to be the next Tyler Perry, just know you're gonna have to take some risk. You're gonna have to be uncomfortable. And Tyler has plenty of stories of sleeping in his car and betting it all and everything else. And so to some extent, his success, he earned that. But at the same time, though, it's a personal judgment as to whether or not he's paying people enough money. I hear both sides. I think that people should be paid a living wage. I think America really needs to raise the minimum wage. Right now, America has a growing wealth gap because they don't pay workers enough money and it's not fair. And AI is only going to make it worse. And I think also in Tyler's industry, AI is really going to make it just insane because what Tyler appears to be thinking, in my opinion, is he seems like a guy who wants to basically cut out the middleman on every project he's doing. Like he's a guy. I don't know if y'all do y'all remember when he took that picture of his writer's room where he was the only person in the room, and he's basically saying, "Look, I control. You know, I got the hookup. I got I'm the plug. I got the audience. I know what the audience wants. They don't even care how good the movies are. They don't have to be Hollywood studio caliber most of the time. I can just write the script and use what I got and get it done. And then with AI, that only accelerates that particular business model. So then the challenge, though, to Tyler is it becomes up to him in terms of deciding how are you going to operate as a businessman. Are you a pure capitalist? If you're a pure capitalist, then that's unfortunate because that means you're going to cut out as many people as possible and keep the cost down as much as possible. And I understand that to a point from a risk management standpoint, but it's not so good from a decency standpoint, right? If you are sitting on hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, um, there is a question about whether how much of that should be shared. I know that there have been times where I didn't fire somebody even though I should have fired them, or even though I could save a ton of money by firing them, and I just didn't do it because I was like, well, I can afford to keep the person here, right? But that's a trade-off because the problem that Tyler does have though is that if he goes bankrupt, not any of these people that he's helping out financially are going to have the ability to come and help him out. So that's the dilemma of the business owner. But I can tell you this, I understand why he doesn't want to operate with the same business model as Hollywood because Hollywood is financially stupid. In fact, theater chains have been closing. 2,000 screens have closed since 2020. So people are just not going to the movies anymore. And a lot of the reason that they're overspending is number one, the skyrocketing salaries for the talent, for the actors and stuff like that, 20 to $50 million for some of these actors. Amazingly large production costs. For example, a single Marvel movie can cost $100 million just for the CGI and the sets. That's crazy. AI is going to change that. Too many rewrites, reshoots, and executive interference, right? So a lot of scripts get passed around. They want to go through it a million times, rewrite every little piece, and every single time that's really expensive. They have an overdependence on visual effects instead of just telling a good story. They want to sort of throw in all these special effects, and the marketing budgets have gotten insane. It's not uncommon to spend over $100 million marketing a movie. So ultimately, I understand why Tyler wants to deviate from the Hollywood business model. I do think though that when you have people within that organization that are saying, "Hey, this ain't right. I should be paid more money," I'd be curious to know how they all feel. Like I think that it would be really interesting to hear what so his supporters say in terms of what he's done for them. And I'm not talking about famous actors and actresses. I'm talking about people that work on the production set, stuff like that. I'd love to hear what those supporters say, and then I'd like to hear from the people who left and how they feel about what he's paying. And so really, nobody really knows exactly whether or not he's paying enough. The labor unions have a standard, but I personally think that it could be argued that they push these Hollywood studios too much to the point where they're going bankrupt. So a lot of people think that only workers can go on strike. That's not true. Companies go on strike too. Anybody remember when if you go back to the 90s, anybody remember when the NBA locked out the players? Anybody remember the NBA lockout? Well, let me tell you what happened back then for those of you that are too young to remember. Kevin Garnett signed with the Minnesota Timberwolves and he got this massive contract. He's making over 20 million a year, which was a ridiculous amount of money back then. That was probably 5 times more than most other players were making. And probably twice as much as the highest paid player. And all the teams freaked out. They were like, crap, now we have to match that. We can't afford to match that. So what the teams did was they said, well, we're not coming to work. You think the only the workers can go on strike. No, companies can go on strike too. So they basically said, look, if you want to charge us that much and put us out of business, we're just not going to deal with you. And so that's how they got the players' salaries under control. I think that they went too far though. I feel like they hurt the players. The players had a hard time negotiating in that strike. I followed it very closely, but I kind of understand that, right? So you got to remember, what I really want you to practice doing is not thinking about economics solely from the perspective of a worker. That's important. We should hear what workers say for sure. But I really want Black folks to not just identify with the workers and liberal leftist causes and communist, Marxist, anarchists, and that far left ideology. Hear all that, but I also need you to understand what it means to keep a business going and make sure that thing sustains itself. I have seen labor unions eat through a business like freaking termites. I've seen that too. I'm pro union. I think America needs more unions, but I've seen times where the unions got so corrupt and so greedy that they destroyed the business and did not give a damn, right? So with Tyler, I think that the survival of the business obviously is his top priority. He's been able to survive so far. I'd be curious to see the details of their numbers, in order to really understand that, because I do think this could become an issue though for Tyler long term. I think that he's getting a reputation for undercutting Black workers, which I think is in contradiction to the image he's trying to push, that he's actually an asset to the Black community. And I can tell you that just because somebody's a Black billionaire don't mean they're an asset to the Black community, but also just because he's a Black billionaire doesn't mean he's a liability either. It's really a matter of nuance and how you're positioned in that argument. All right, so anyway, do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe if you haven't done that yet. Also, I have a training I did called How to Turn Your Child into a Millionaire. I want to produce as many millionaire children as I can in the year 2050. You got 30 years, 25 years to get ready. Sorry, 25 years. It's very easy by following simple investment plans that don't take a lot of time or effort or energy, where literally if you invest in the stock market the same amount for your family as you spend on your car note or your cell phone bill, stuff like that, your child can be in a position where they never have to work for anybody again. The key is that we have to make it a cultural norm for us to invest for our children early, and that's what's going to get you ahead. So anyway, kittyboss.com is where you can go to take a look. The URL is right above my head, so feel free to go to kittyboss.com. Also, don't forget this podcast is on Spotify. So if you look on Spotify, look up my name, Boyce Watkins, you'll find the Spotify podcast. Last thing on Tyler Perry that was interesting in terms of talking points that I kind of wanted to run through is I'd like to ask y'all a question, yes or no? Do you think that Tyler Perry leans heavily on dangerous stereotypes that are harmful to the Black community? Yes or no? Yes, if you think the stereotypes are dangerous. No, if you think that they're not so dangerous. There's been a lot of critique about Tyler Perry making movies that make Black people look less than desirable. A lot of people would say that the movies present us as kind of buffoonish, coonish, clownish, ignorant, goofy, etc. And I kind of feel that way too. I'm not a big fan of Black men wearing dresses. And when I talked to Tyler, he told me he didn't want to put the dress on anymore. I think he was just saying it because he thought that's what I wanted to hear. I have no idea. But either way, though, at the end of the day, I will say I lean in the direction of saying I kind of get. How about this? Here's my little pet peeve. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I'm probably gonna sound like a hater when I say it, but I don't care. I gotta say it. Maybe I am a hater. I have no idea. But has anybody noticed that most of the time when you see Black men that are very famous in media, they tend to fit certain categories. Either it's some rapper who hates women and hates his family, hates his community, raps about murdering black people, is ignorant as hell, throws his money away, wants to go to prison so he can get screwed in the butt, all this other stuff. So if he's not a rapper, he's a comedian, which is like a clown. Clowns are not a threat. Clowns. A clown can never challenge the king. Or he is behaving like a childish, like a little boy or a little girl, or he's just ignorant, or maybe an athlete too, right? So, which unfortunately for athletes, they are playing a kid sport. Not that that's bad. Not that every athlete's terrible. In fact, there's a guy that played for the Cowboys that went to Ohio State named Ezekiel Elliott. His dad is a great guy. He's a member of the Nation of Islam, and I met with him and we talked for a while. He's coming to the All Black National Convention. I'm gonna do a fireside chat with Ezekiel Elliott's dad about fatherhood and the role of fathers in terms of mentoring our young boys. We need stronger men in the community. So Ezekiel Elliott's dad agreed to come to the convention. Also, another great black man who's on TV named Chris Broussard is one of our speakers as well. And I've known Chris for many years, and he's just a solid stand-up guy. So I'm not dissing every famous black person or every black man on TV, but I am saying that when you look at the people who run media, and it's the same people that are paying for this military to shoot little babies in Palestine, they don't really care about how your men are viewed. They don't care how your men and your women conduct themselves. They want you to conduct yourself in a way that makes you subordinate to the white man. They want you to be inferior. They want you to be the beta to their alpha. They don't want you to be a threat. They don't want you to have a million black kids doing engineering and computer science. If you go to Google and look who's on the cutting edge of artificial intelligence, you ain't gonna see no black people. You're gonna see Indians and Asians and white people. If you go see who's building rocket ships to Mars, then it ain't gonna be a bunch of us. But if you see people who are on the internet cooning and clowning and buffooning, loud, hilarious, etc., that's kind of our niche. In fact, some of the biggest influencers on the planet, biggest social media influencers on the planet, are black men who literally have minstrel shows. That's it. Kai Cenat, I hate to say it, it's a minstrel show. It's loud. It's like nigga this, nigga that, and they're having grown man slumber parties. He got together with the comedian Drewski, Too Funny, and Kevin Hart, and they literally had a grown man slumber party. You had you had what was it? The other one, Kobby Lane, who's the biggest TikToker on the world, one of the biggest, and he doesn't even talk. He literally just makes these goofy faces. Minstrel show. It's a minstrel show. And then there's another guy who's real muscular, and he'll sit in a fancy restaurant, and they'll put food in his mouth, and then he'll get up and he'll start dancing, and then he'll sit back down, and they'll put more food in his mouth, and he'll start dancing because the chicken's so good. Like, and these are the types of influencers that you see online, and so that really speaks to a typecast for the black man. So a black man putting on a dress. Let's just be real. Tyler, smart guy. I liked him. Very nice man. I told you he was very nice when we talked. But when you put on a dress and you get $1 billion, you kind of cheated. I want to see somebody get $1 billion by being black and intelligent. I want to see somebody get $1 billion by representing outstanding fatherhood and leadership and intelligence. I want to see a black man get a bunch of money by leading the community to a better place economically, intellectually, otherwise, building black families, things like that. That's what I'd love to see. I'm kind of tired of seeing like more minstrel shows and more comedy. We laughed enough, and I get it. Laughing is a trauma response. You need to laugh because you're so sad and you have undiagnosed, untreated trauma. But unfortunately, some of the media is just it's really unbearable. So with Tyler, a legitimate criticism of him and his films is that a black men putting on dresses. I think we should be tired of it. In fact, there is, and then this is all connected to slavery. We know this, right? But literally, I want you, let's do an experiment. Let's do a little exercise, shall we? It's because I know I get real serious. So let's lighten the mood. I want some crowd participation here. So everybody, you ready? Let me know if you're ready. We're going to do a little exercise. I want you to type this in the chat. I want you to name one black person, a famous actor who's put on a dress in the last 10 years. Give me one black famous actor who has put on a dress in the last 10 years. And you can name more than one. Put it in the chat. I'm gonna start naming names. Or let's say the last 15 years or so, right? Let's see, you got Martin Lawrence, Wesley Snipes, but that's kind of old. That was that Tu Wong Fu movie. So it's probably more recent examples, I'm sure. Charles Barkley, I've seen him wear a dress. Let's see, who else? Give me some more names in the chat so we can, because I want to go through this. You had White Girls, the guys that did White Girls. Tyler Perry, of course. Who else? Kevin Hart. Oh, that's right, of course. Kevin loves wearing a dress. Who else? Martin. Okay, we already said Martin earlier. Give me some more names. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay, so what have we named? About six, seven, or eight, something like that. Jamie Foxx. Okay, let's say that's nine. Eddie Murphy. That's 10. Who else? Keep going. Give me some more names. We got 10. We got 10 so far. So let's keep going. Come on. The Wayans, okay. Let's say that's 11 and 12. All right, keep going. Give me some more names. I need come on. I need the crowd. I need y'all to help me. Dennis Rodman, the Rock. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot the Rock. Damn, that's kind of sad, but yeah, okay, but I think he was doing that for his daughters, kind of. And I think he deserves a pass for that. But maybe it's because he's the Rock. I don't know. Larry Johnson did Grandmama years ago. Okay, so we've named like maybe 14 or 15 black men who put on dresses in the last 15, 20 years. Ving Rhames, that goes back to the 90s. Chris Rock back in, I think, the 2000s or 90s. Okay, so now here's what I want you to do on the second side of that experiment. Now, here's the deal. White men, there are probably 8 times, 8 to 10 times more white actors than there are black actors, right? At least 10 times more, let's say. So you would expect that if I tell you, if I say list all the white actors, famous actors, A-listers, big name actors, not no people ain't nobody heard of, people that everybody's heard of that have put on dresses. Then with the black men, we came up with like 20 names. Dave Chappelle is another one, right? So with white men, we should easily come up with another 20. Am I right? Does that make sense? We should actually come up with 100. It should be that easy. So I want you to name as many white actors as you can think of, and let's go back 30 years who put on a dress. Okay, Robin Williams, Mrs. Doubtfire, that's a famous one. Give me another one. Come on. What else we got? Anybody else got it? Come on. This is Jeopardy. I'm gonna sip my coffee while y'all give me some names. Come on, I need some more names. See, y'all saying Robin Williams over and over again. Everybody know Robin Williams was Mrs. Doubtfire. Give me another one. Come on. Come on. I mean, how about we just say 10? Just give me 10. Give me 10 white boys who put on dresses in famous movies, and then we'll call it even. Even though literally we're rigging the whole game. Okay, Jim Carrey, Roddy Piper. Who the hell knows who Roddy? Come on, Ulysses. You know, don't nobody know who Roddy Piper is. Steve Martin, Dustin Hoffman. What's that about? That's about four or five. Okay, okay. So we got five white guys. Now, mind you, Rodney Dangerfield. See, Rodney's been dead. He's been dead. I think there are grown-ups in this chat who died, who are born after Rodney Dangerfield died. Miguel Nunez, he's black now. Patrick Swayze, six, okay. See, look at that. Look how hard that is. Rick Ricardo, is that Ricky Ricardo from Loose? All right, so why did I do this exercise? I did this exercise because of this. If I can name 20 black men who put on a dress. And white actors are 10 times more prominent than black actors, meaning 10 times more available or present in the industry. I should easily be able to name 20 white guys. Do you understand? I mean, it should be a piece of cake. I should get to 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. But no, there's a racial bias. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? That there's something about Hollywood where they love to see a Negro in a freaking dress. And I think it's because you got a lot of alphabet stuff going on in Hollywood. And I think they're like, yeah, I want to see that big, muscular buck of a man wearing a dress because number one, it's hilarious and it fits what I think about these pathetic little people. Number two, he's less threatening. He don't scare me no more. Because how could you be scared of someone wearing pigtails? And then three, they think it's sexy. They want to see they like black. Everybody's attracted to black men. We're delicious. So I don't blame them for being attracted to black men, but the thing about it is that you have to be thoughtful about what they're doing to you, what they're doing to your culture. They're harming your community with all this nonsense. So I just think overall, you got to pay attention to stereotypes. You got to pay attention to the stereotypes. You can't just say, oh, well, if a Negro is getting money, then that's black excellence, that's black success. No, sometimes failure shows up disguised as money. Sometimes degradation shows up disguised as money. Sometimes things that you might even argue could be demonic could show up disguised as money. If I'm the devil and I'm operating in America, then my number one tool is going to be money. That's the number one tool. I'm going to say, oh, these people worship money. So I'm going to dangle money in front of everything that's horrible, that's unhealthy for them. Everything that's dangerous for you, I'm gonna put some money on it. Everything that's gonna make you sick, I'm gonna put some money on it. Everything that's gonna ruin you and destroy you and degrade your soul, I'm gonna put some dollar bills on it because you're not even gonna notice it. That's like me putting sugar in the shit, and you'll eat a bowl of shit because it got sugar in it. So I think that we have to be thoughtful about avoiding the sugary shit because a lot of this stuff, y'all know as well as I do, has not been beneficial to our community. These depictions make us look subhuman. It justifies the mistreatment of you. It justifies mass incarceration of Black people. It justifies us being marginalized. It justifies us being the left behind group of people. And this is being done by a lot of people who claim to be your allies, but they're not allies if they're doing this to you. That's my 2 cents. And I'm not putting Tyler Perry in the middle of all of this, but I do hope that Tyler is thinking about some of this imagery and find some way to have some sort of a balance, because there's just better ways to do things. So anyway, but that's it though. I'm not here to armchair quarterback Tyler Perry's whole empire. He's done a whole lot, and I know a lot of people that have worked with him, and they don't all say bad things. I've heard the good and the bad, but I understand his life is probably complicated. And Lord Jesus, he got that big old lawsuit, and I'm thinking about that in terms of like with Shannon Sharp. I wonder how many other financial complications there are like that because I can see where in this society, because of the stereotypes which lead to it making it very easy for people to believe that a Black man would do anything horrible that you accuse him of. This puts Black wealth in jeopardy because what this basically says is that if you're a Black man and you're sitting on a mountain of money, all somebody's got to do is point their finger at you and accuse you of something, and then they have the right to come in and take everything you got. And that's no different from slavery. So I would encourage you to warn your sons, um, be careful, be diligent, head on a swivel, protect your wealth, build it, and then defend it. Because these people, if you're a sucker, if you fall for the okie doke, they're gonna come get it from you. All right. So anyway, that's it, guys. My book, I have a book. It's called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. It's an Amazon bestseller. Thank you guys for buying copies. You can actually buy them at drboycebooks.com. That's drboycebooks.com. And you can get an autographed copy if you want to, or wherever the case may be. So feel free to go to drboycebooks.com. We also have flashcards and workbooks for kids. And also every morning we do economic elevation class. So if you want to improve your finances and your money mindset, join us at sorry, not economic, just text the word morning to the number 87948. If you text morning to 87948, I'll send you an invitation.